stuck in that analysis paralysis. When we sat down and decided when we were gonna make this real and decided what that means for today, what that means for this week, what that means for this month, that's when we had our breakthrough.
What's
Hey,
up,
y'all?
YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, The Brawley Story.
Welcome back.
For those of you that are new, I'm Brandon.
I'm Christy, and we're pursuing our financial freedom through real estate investing.
We've been getting a lot of questions from some of you all about how we are doing
How you get all those houses.
Yeah, how are we getting these houses?
People keep asking. We've seen your comments. So we are answering questions today. We are going to share our steps, 10 steps to a quick start in real estate.
That's right.
So y'all know we've had a quick start in real estate investing.
We're on almost 5 properties in 6 months. So it's been wild.
This is for beginners. So you will want to stay to the end. After this video, you'll be ready to purchase your first investment property.
Yeah, I know you can't wait for that. It feels so good when you first do it.
It's scary at first.
Oh, it is. But once you actually sign those papers, you feel like a boss.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling.
And you are
Like a boss.
So it's pretty cool, y'all. We're excited about it ourselves. We're growing and learning about real estate, and we're excited to share what we know. But first things first, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. If you're your first time subscribing, make sure you write a comment saying I subscribe.
I subscribe.
And we'll look out and comment back and forth with you.
You gotta stay to the end because step number 10 is the most important.
That is true. That is true. 10 is not the most important.
Number 1 is identify your motivation.
That's so important.
If you don't know the why behind the what, you will not be motivated for the process that being a real estate investor requires.
And it ain't for the faint of heart.
It's not.
But anyone can do it. You just have to be motivated and willing to stick it out.
It's a lot of challenges. It takes a lot of heart, a lot of grit, a lot of problem solving, a lot of sacrifices. So you've got to know why you're doing it. Why are we doing it?
We want to be financially free. Bottom line, I don't want to have to be a 9-to-5 employee for the rest of my life. I want to be able to survive and provide for my family without even needing a job. You know, I want to be able to have those assets. I remember my dad, when I was probably 8 years old, he had some rental properties. So I was exposed to it from young. My dad had some rental properties, and he used to have me count his rent to make sure every dollar was accounted for. But he also would just say to me—
No wonder you're so good at counting.
Yeah, well, counting money. So my dad used to have me count his rent for him, and he told me, you know, okay, make sure this is the right amount. And then he would say at the end of it, you know, I didn't work for this money. This money comes in even if I'm sleeping all day. And so I knew from that point on, from being, 8, 9 years old, I wanted, when it was my time, to have passive income, to have steady money coming in, not dependent upon my effort. I have so many different things we do. We have so many things. We want to be able to travel the world or focus more on you guys, our YouTube following. We want to be able to have time to just spend time with one another.
Aw, that was sweet. I want to spend time with you too.
The night will weave its magic.
Family is such a top priority. I grew up seeing my mom and my dad always prioritize family. They had flexible schedules and they were able to make time to be there and support us through everything. For us, financial freedom means to invest time in the relationships that matter the most. There are so many benefits to financial freedom. The more that you have, the more that you have to give. The more that we have, the more we have to give. And one thing that we both connected on our second date, and we already knew we were getting married by date 2, y'all. But on our second date, we both connected about our heart to give, to one day be philanthropists and to be able to fund not just our dreams, but other people's dreams and things that will be a blessing
And
to
things
be
that
able
are
to
valuable to us.
impact thousands of other people. So again, number one, identify your motivation. It means to take a moment, to take a step back and look at the big picture. It means to dream. Dream out loud. Set your milestones and even incentives for those milestones. Brandon and I have sat down and written out, like, when we make this much in cash flow,
Right.
that means we're gonna go just get a massage. We're gonna go buy him a steak. We're gonna
Not any steak. Wagyu.
a Wagyu steak.
A Wagyu steak, yeah. So
We're going to take a trip to the Grand Cayman Islands when we get to this marker. We're gonna get a housekeeper for moi when we get to that marker. We have taken the time to dream, to put deadlines and launch dates, and to put incentives for ourselves so that we celebrate every milestone, every win along the way to that big picture, because it's a journey.
like she said, we create little milestones to reward ourselves.
Have fun with it.
You know, they say you work hard, play harder. So we're thinking of what can real estate earn us, what kinds of pluses, how can we pat ourselves on the back. There's another word for it, is really just to gamify it. It makes it fun. You know, it's difficult, you know, and any good game has some level of difficulty, but it is achievable and has rewards that benefit you over time. We were doing a lot of food-based ones, but we don't want to get fat. so we had to start doing some other
Let's
things.
find other ways to celebrate.
Yeah. Figure out what your motivation is. That is one of the most important things, and it's absolutely the first thing that you got to do, and it keeps you going.
Number two is write your goal. The word says, write the vision, make it plain. If you want to make your dream reality, you've got to make goals. What's the acronym for SMART goals? How to make your goals?
Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-based, time-bound. So you have a deadline.
Good work. Good work. I have faith in you. So a goal is a dream with a date to it. Make sure that you're actually creating these milestones along the way to that big picture that are attainable, measurable, all that good stuff. For example, if I want to have $10,000 in passive income by next August of 2022, that means I need quarterly goals to break that down to make sure I'm gonna get there. That means I need monthly goals to help me meet those quarterly goals. That means I break that down into what are my action steps every week, and then what does that mean daily? Does that mean 30 minutes analyzing some deals every day? And then does that mean that I put 3 offers in on houses a month, which means every week I'm aiming for 1 offer that I'm putting in? So what are those goals that will help you to meet each milestone that will get you to that big picture, that will make it real, that makes it measurable? What's measurable is how much time I spend today. What's measurable is how many deals I analyzed today, how many offers I put in this month. That is measurable.
Absolutely.
We've known for the past few years that we want to achieve financial freedom through real estate investing, but because we didn't have our launch date, we didn't have our daily and weekly and monthly goals, then we were stuck in that analysis paralysis. And
we were afraid to move. We were.
Right. So when we sat down and decided when we were going to make this real, and decided what that means for today, what that means for this week, what that means for this month, that's when we had our breakthrough. So write your goals and identify and execute your action steps.
Right. Next step, decide your exit strategy at the beginning. right? I'm a firm believer in beginning with the end in mind. I absolutely love Stephen Covey's book on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I read the teens book, but it was by Sean Covey, his son, but the principles are the same, and I love that concept. Begin with the end in mind. And with real estate, it's no different. You absolutely have to begin with the end in mind. You need to just be thinking about, how do I want to get out of this property before I get into this property? You know, you need to know, is my strategy to just purchase it with 20% down, put some tenants in there, and get some cash flow? Or is it my strategy to do a renovation and, you know, do what they call the BRRRR strategy, buy, rehab, rent and buy, rehab, rent and refinance. You know, is that my strategy? Or am I just, I don't have any cash and I need to go into wholesale and I need to get this property under contract and sell the contract to someone to make some money? Or you know, do I want to just flip it? Do I want to just buy it, fix it up, and sell it on the market, right, for a large profit? What is my strategy with this property? What do I want to do with this property, right? So those are the types of things that you need to be thinking about before you go on the property. Right. And I would even argue you need to have more than one exit strategy in case option A goes bad. You got option B and C. You want to get a property that it works with multiple strategies. I would think. What do you think?
For example, like if you decide, hey, I want to do a flip, but then the market crashes and you're not going to make any money. In fact, you'll lose money by trying to sell that property when the property value has dropped by so much and you already invested so much in this elaborate renovation. Then you need to know that the numbers can still work if you decide to make that house a rental house.
That's right.
And you decide you want to keep people in it for 5 years, 10 years, making that cash flow. Can it still cash flow, or are you going to be stuck with bills? Can it still cash flow, and then you sell it in 5 years, 10 years, and make that profit that you want to make in addition to that cash flow?
Yeah, it could be even more money, you know, so that could be a blessing in disguise. So it's good to have more than one exit strategy as a possibility when you're going into a property, making sure that you have options, so you're not backed into a corner or anything like that. I think it's a great idea. So for us, we've started off with more so the traditional rental route. I think with our first 2, we put 20% down, one of them 25% down, and we had tenants in them, and we went from there. But now we're moving on to more of a BRRRR strategy, where we're, you know, buying it. It needs some, you know, TLC, little TLC, and then we're gonna, you know, rent them out and then refinance it. So yeah, absolutely. So you can play around with different exit strategies.
So what's the benefit of the BRRRR method?
The benefit of the BRRRR is simply that you're getting properties undervalued, right? You're getting it well below what it could be worth. You're putting in and forcing appreciation. You're making that value jump up through renovations. And then the hope is that you still, now that you have renovated it and done all that, you can pull equity out, get a large portion of your investment back immediately, or either all of it or some of it, and rent it out while still having equity in that property. So that's strong, right? That works even better. It can work better than
you have to have the
a
margin
rental.
in the deals.
You have to have the margin. You got to get them, you know, way below market value, right? You're talking maybe 50% what it could be, or 60% what market value is, right? In order to get or 40% or whatever the number is, and knowing that, hey, if I put in X amount of dollars, I can force this appreciation even more than what I'm putting in. A lot more than what I'm putting in.
You have to decide, what can I do with this property if I buy it? What will make sense? Number 4 is get funding.
Yeah, you got to get funded.
You got to know how you're going to pay for it now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a big reason why people don't jump in there like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this thing.
Exactly.
So yeah, you got to get funded. And that was one that we had to kind of think through a while. That kind of made us, had us pause for a little bit. And when we were stuck in our analysis paralysis. but it's not that difficult, right? You just need
No.
to, you definitely do need to be preparing ahead of time. How can they prepare?
Get your own house in order, okay? You need to be living beneath your means. If you live in hand to mouth and then you have an emergency where you have to cover out of your personal funds for an investment property, then you are going to be struggling to eat. Also, you need to have your credit right so that you can qualify for loans.
Yeah, yeah.
Leverage is very important. That means that your money can go farther. So you have to have your credit in order. You have to have a stable job to qualify for a lot of these loans.
That's true.
So a stable job, get your credit right, have your budget right so that you can be in a strong financial position personally when you go and take these risks.
And you need to start saving. You got to start saving. You need to start saving. I mean, it may say, saying no to going out with friends or eating out a little bit less or whatever the case, cooking at home a little more. So you got to figure out how to start saving some money, right?
Yeah.
So that way you can, you might want to look at a cheaper car note or getting a used car that you can afford cash. That's one thing that we definitely did. We've never had a car note. But that's a whole nother story. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with car notes, but it helps us to save money.
Yeah. And y'all got to remember that you're going to be paying a mortgage on another house.
Yeah.
So even if you are planning to do the fancy burst strategy and all this, you
still
renovating this
gotta
house.
pay.
Well, what if it takes 5-6 months to renovate and you don't have tenants in there yet? You're going to be paying the mortgage. So you need to make sure that you're prepared for these things. Even when you do get a renovation loan, then you have to front these projects.
Yeah.
More times than not.
Yeah, you got to put up
You
some of
get
that money.
reimbursed for each draw.
That's true.
So get your money right.
Yeah, they're not
Get
just handing
your
you a
money
check to
right.
fix this up, man. That's not how it works. There's a few different ways to fund your deal, right? So number one is cash, right? You can if you wanted to, right, buy a property cash. And if you got enough of it, that's an option.
Yeah.
Now, typically, and it depends on your preference level. Everybody's threshold and comfort and debt comfortability is different. So a lot of people, recommend leveraging your money through financing, right? You want to get some other loans and things like that, so you don't have to put so much of your money into a particular deal. It
Right.
limits your risk, but it also allows you, instead of being able to buy one $100,000 house,
Exactly.
you might be able to buy
4
5,
of them.
yeah, exactly, 4 or 5 of them, or however many, depending on how much money you have. You can make that stretch a lot further and try different things. So,
And as long as all of your properties have positive cash flow, meaning you ain't paying no bills on it, but you getting a check,
right.
you good.
That's key. Yeah, you good. Or if you're flipping it, even if you're flipping it, if they're
Right,
good
right.
flips, they could be good flips. So, I mean, you just want to see about your leverage, but cash is also an option. Some people prefer to
Yeah.
just go ahead and know they don't have a note on over their heads and things like that. If that's you, cool. And if you got an abundance of cash, great. But if you're looking for some other options, right, like us, we leveraged, right? So we used hard money. You can purchase through hard money, which is a type of loan, it's a private loan where the requirements are not as strict. They're typically for investment properties. Your credit doesn't have to be perfect, even though they do prefer some decent credit generally. And the big thing about hard money is they charge you a lot of interest. They're charging you a big chunk of interest. I
Yep.
mean, anywhere from 7 to 12% interest.
Yeah.
And they're short-term loans. They're only, usually 6 to 13 months or something like that. For most hard money lenders, they want
Get
you
out
to
of 'em
get in
fast.
and get out, right? They don't want to hold that property for a long time. But the
Yeah.
cool thing is they're not basing it completely, unlike a personal home. They're not basing it completely on you and your
Yeah.
credit worthiness and all of that. They're basing it more heavily on the investment property. How strong is this property? Is it a good deal? If it's a
Yeah.
good deal and you're coming in at the right margins, a lot of times they will go ahead and fund that deal for you if everything looks good. They can also typically move a lot faster. than a traditional lender. Number 3 would be a traditional lender, right? A regular bank is a great option if you can afford to go that route. And a lot of the times for an investment property, they're going to require 20%, 25% down, regardless. And sometimes they'll do the renovations, sometimes they won't. They can be a little more strict, and they definitely generally require more or better credit or relationship with them. So a traditional bank, credit union type lender. There's also private money. Sometimes you have friends or family that says, hey, I got a heap full of money. I'm Scrooge McDuck, and I need to figure out a way to get some interest on this money.
Yeah,
and I'll lend it to you.
They need a way to grow their money. So you can actually be helping them as they're helping you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you may have some of those people, and then you might be able to work out a better interest rate or better terms or whatever, lower down payment, whatever it is, with those people if you have those relationships with them. So that's a great option, right? That's a fantastic option. And it's a win-win. If you are a traditional homeowner, right? If you already own your home and you've got some equity in it, right? You can pull that equity out in the form of a home equity line of credit or a HELOC. And you can use that money sometimes to purchase real estate properties with. That's a great option as well. And the cool thing about HELOCs is generally they do not have the same interest as a regular loan. Their interest is revolving like a credit card, but it's very low interest rates typically, and the monthly payments are much smaller if you do the interest only options. And then you can pay it all off. You need to make sure you have a plan to pay it off, like with any debt. That's a great option. Another option is if you've got a line of credit, either personal or business line of credit, you can use that to fund or buy real estate. And there's ways to do that. So that's a great option as well. Lastly, you may want to partner with someone. Maybe you don't have all the cash yourself. Maybe, hey, I'm just starting out. I only have $10,000 or whatever your number is, $5,000. I can only give this so much. But you've got a friend or a couple of friends or family members that are looking to get started at the same time. You gel well together, you trust each other, and you're able to pull your resources together. And now you've got enough to buy a real estate investment, right? Now you definitely want to choose the right partner and the right investment to get started and build that trust, right? So you don't want to be in bed with someone forever.
Yeah, you might want to make it something more short term.
Yeah, you might want to do something short term like a flip. So, but those are several options to fund your real estate.
Number 5 is establish your criteria. So if you don't know what you're looking for, you're not going to be able to find it.
You got to know what you're looking for.
So you got to narrow down what you're looking for. There's no such thing as the perfect property. But if it can meet this criteria, you're saying this is a good property for me to buy. Then you can get out of your analysis paralysis and just go for it. What is your primary goal for the property? Is that goal cash flow, meaning that you may want a rental and make sure that you have a good amount of margin between the mortgage, insurance, taxes, and all that, and the rent? So is it cash flow primarily? Is it appreciation, which means that the property is going to increase in value over time and you hold on to it, and what you started off as a 150,000 property ended up being 250,000 in 10 years. And so you walk away with that 100 grand. Is it cash flow? Is it appreciation? Is it both?
Is it a flip?
What is your goal? What location does the property need to be in? What is your budget for this property? And is your budget realistic for the location that you've chosen? Do you need to change your location to fit that budget? Or do you need to increase your budget to get this hot location that's gonna appreciate so much? What asset type are you looking for? Single family, multifamily? Are you looking for commercial or residential? You need to know what asset type am I looking for, not just anything.
As well as knowing things like, what's the square footage that I need to be at?
How many beds,
How many baths do I need to be at, etc. So those are things you want to consider with your criteria. We were stuck looking for the perfect property when we were in our analysis paralysis, and there just isn't one. There just isn't one. We just jumped in and we realized we were capable of handling the problems that arose. And there were problems that arose.
And the question is, what problems are you willing to solve? As long as you're willing to solve problems, you're ready to be a real estate investor.
Yeah, and whenever you solve problems, you can get paid. So just keep that in mind. Problems are opportunities. Like, oh man, this is a great deal and it's completely different than this deal. It's completely, and you need to just have one primary criteria. You know, your location, your type, the number of bed and bath, etc., square footage. You need to just go ahead and write that out, make it very clear, and just go for your criteria.
Exactly. So it's not, is this the perfect property? Is this a good property for me that meets this criteria?
That's it. Yep. So 6, you want to make sure that you identify your lead source. You want to know where you're getting your leads from, right? And there's a simple way to solve that. A lot of it is just right from your smartphone. You can do it. A lot of it is just through apps.
Yep.
So our favorite apps are Trulia, Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com. All of them have mobile apps, and they all pull from the MLS, the multiple listing service, and they can get you fresh deals that are on the market right then and there. Our favorite real estate app is Trulia.
Shows you the crime stats.
Yeah,
shows nobody gonna be breaking in your properties.
Yeah, it shows you crimes. It show you
Schools.
It shows you. I mean, a lot of properties that hit the market on the MLS are going to be put onto Trulia and
You can
others.
see the street view. See
Yeah,
what it looks like around the neighborhood.
And we always look at that street view to see what it's like. How many other boarded up houses are next to it? You know, what kind of
are there trash piles in the front yard?
Yeah. What is it looking like? You know, that's the first thing we look at is that street view, honestly, and the crime view. But we check all of them, right, from time to time because they sometimes pull different properties, even though they're all getting it from the MLS. So definitely you want to have those in your repertoire. Another thing that you want to do is be on wholesalers' email list, right? Good wholesalers can find you, find you some good deals.
Properties that don't have as much competition.
Less competition, much higher margins generally. And I mean, shoot, I get an email every day from wholesalers. A day doesn't go by where I'm not getting emails from wholesalers of some deals that they found. Now, you got to double check their numbers. You can't trust anybody's numbers but your own.
Do your own math.
But at least they have these deals. They have less competition because they're off market.
Yeah.
That's what wholesalers do. They get these deals off market. So you want to have a few wholesalers in your pocket and let them know, hey, I'm serious about buying a property. Let them know your criteria. That's key. They got to know that. Yeah, so I mean, that's a big one. And don't forget your agents and brokers because they can send you deals too.
And lastly, if you have a lot of time on your hands, you can try driving for dollars, which means you actually drive and look to see what the vacant boarded up houses are, find the owners, contact them, and ask them if they're willing to sell. And you're hoping to come to a win-win. They're looking to get some quick cash, and you're looking to get an off-market property for a good deal. Number 7 is analyze thoroughly. Remember, we said do not trust anybody else's numbers. Do your own math, y'all.
Yes.
Do your own math. It's very important to practice analyzing deals every day. Every day. You can go to our personal favorite Bigger Pockets website, and if you become a member, use their calculator. That's what we started off with. It helped to teach us a lot. It has every category mapped out for you so you don't miss anything, so you don't just subtract the mortgage from the rental income and think that you're at your cash flow number.
No.
But it tells you all of the details that you would want to factor in to get to that bottom line. You can download free apps like DealCheck on your phone. And we'll put some of these things down in the description for you to check out. And you can also read books. Bigger Pockets also has great books on how to analyze deals. We'll also put those books in the description for you.
So really important is for you to take everything that she's saying after you learn how to analyze a deal. You need to start actually practicing. You got to do homework.
Practice.
It's literally homework. You're trying to buy a home, so you need to do some homework
Right.
and analyze deals every single day. Before we ever bought a property, we just practice analyzing deals every day. We just practiced it. Just practice analyzing deals so you're not caught with your pants down on a bad deal. And you just want to go ahead and just practice running the numbers as if you were going to buy it.
Right.
Even though you're not going to buy it, you just want to just check the numbers. Occasionally what you'll find, well, most of the time what you'll find is most of those properties out there are not good deals for you. But you start eventually figuring out, oh, okay, if I can get it for this price, it's a good deal. So then you want to start submitting offers once a week. At least once a week you want to submit an offer on a deal. And that's what we do. We submit a lot of offers. And surprisingly, we get some of those, right? And that's part of how we've been able to get the properties we've gotten this year. We submit offers, and sometimes we're surprised that we get these deals, but we submit the offers, and that you just never know.
Yeah.
And then, we would check the market, Trulia and all those things, every day to see when a new property was listed. Now that gave us a competitive advantage. We're in a very hot market here in Atlanta, and it's very competitive. People are paying sometimes 50, 60, 100 grand over listing price and all that stuff. How we've been able to get our deals, a lot of the times we're first. A lot of the times we are first. So we see the property first and we jump on it. We analyze it, we see it, we analyze it, and we jump on it first. And that's how you can lock it up sometimes and get that deal, just being first.
Right. Number 8 is choose the right agent. Y'all, an agent is kind of like a partner, except you can't fire him real quick. But he's definitely a very important partner. They can be one of the most important contacts that you have in this business. So how do you know if it's a good agent? They need to be responsive because you snooze, you lose in this business. So if you find that property that meets your criteria and you ask them to put an offer in, if they're hanging around and wait till tomorrow, guess what? If you're in a hot market, real estate is pretty hot right now in general, but if you're in a hot market, that deal is gone by the time they decide that they're gonna get around to it.
If you ain't first, you're last, or especially right about now. So you want to be first as often as possible. If you ain't first, you're last. Ricky Bobby.
Wow. They need to have a good reputation. So you need to get a referral, not just go with a family member or a friend that just got their license last week and you want to support, but you want to go with someone that has experience, that people can say this person is competent and they will get the deal done. They need to have strong negotiation skills, be able to solve problems and make it work. They need to work with investors. It's very important that they don't just work with home buyers in general that just want to occupy the home, but they have experience searching for investors. They also need to understand your market. So if you're planning on investing in a hot location right in the heart of the city, they need to be someone who's done a lot of deals in the city that understands even up and coming neighborhoods that other people don't see the value in yet. You need to make sure that your agent is familiar with that area and that they're not someone who's only worked in the suburbs and they don't even recognize a diamond in the rough for you.
Yeah, or vice versa. Yes, you want to make sure that whoever it is, they know your area. I mean, that's key. All right, step 9. Choose the right contractor. Now, if you're getting into real estate, you're gonna have either repairs or something that you need to fix or renovate. So you got to choose the right contractor. A contractor can destroy your deal.
Child.
Yeah, because if they don't quote things right or they don't do good work, you could have to go and do it again. Get someone else to do it. And I don't know about you, my money's not limitless. Not yet, at least. So, it costs money, it costs you time, and probably worst of all, it costs you frustration. If you want someone that is number one, always honest. You don't want someone cheating you. You don't want them to play you.
Sometimes they tell a lot of lies.
Sometimes they get to lying. So make sure you get someone that is honest, right? You want them to have some integrity. You want someone that also does quality work. I mean, it don't matter if they're honest, if their work sucks. So you want to make sure they can get the job done.
So you don't have to pay to get it fixed.
So you don't have to pay to get it fixed. So you want to make sure they do good enough work for what it is that you're trying to do. If it's minor repairs, that's fine. They just handle minor repairs. But if you need to do a full-on renovation, you need someone that can handle a full-on renovation. You need to make sure that they're responsive. There's nothing more annoying than knowing you got money tied up on a project and you are paying someone to get a job done,
And they don't answer the phone.
that's unacceptable. I mean, it's so annoying. So to save yourself some frustration, make sure that you're clear on your expectations, that they are responsive, and also that you choose someone that is responsive, that they demonstrate it to you. You also gotta make sure that they give you fair prices. You know, some people, we've gotten quotes for jobs, and the quote would be double for less work.
Yep.
So more than double. And if we didn't know any better and get a second quote from someone else,
Always get 3 quotes.
yeah, we didn't get other quotes, we would get played. We would have been like, oh man, we can't do it. This budget is too high. So always get some additional quotes. You want to make sure that your contractor is competent, that they do stuff up to code. They don't create hazards and make you liable for things.
Make sure that your house can pass inspections on the plumbing and electrical.
Ideally on the first time, you know. So you want to make sure that you can pass those inspections, no issues there. The person's got to be competent. They got to know not just how to do it, but how is it supposed to be done.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's important.
If the contractor tells you that it's going to take 6 weeks to complete this project and it takes 6 months, that is how many 4.5 extra months that you're paying the mortgage that you did not expect to pay?
Yeah.
It's money.
A lot of money.
If they quote you a $20,000 renovation and it turns out to be a $60,000 renovation, that's money. They're not paying that, you are.
The biggest thing, how do you find one of these guys? Well, you need to get some referrals, right? You need referrals from other investors, from realtors, or from lenders. Sometimes these people have great options. Number 10.
Last but not least.
Most important, guys.
Drum roll.
All right.
Is just get started.
All right. I know it sounds simple, guys, but you've got to get started.
You can listen to all the podcasts, read all the books, analyze all the deals.
Watch all the YouTube videos. At the end of the day, you got to actually get started. You got to put some offers out there. Some of them are going to get accepted, and you got to move forward. Don't jump out of that deal. I mean, unless it's an awful deal. But, you know, you need to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to figure this thing out, and I'm going to get started. You learn so much by just getting started. I mean, like I said, we dealt with analysis paralysis for years, and we kept listening to podcasts and things that said, you know, the biggest thing was just to get started. Once you learn so much more through getting started.
Exactly.
Actually, motion, that forward motion teaches you so much that can't even be articulated.
Right. It's a lot easier to steer a moving car than a parked one.
It sure is.
So get into motion. Put that car into drive, y'all.
You can absolutely do it, guys, but you have to just get started. You just have to get started.
There are so many different strategies, so many different ways you can do it. So reading everybody else's books, watching everybody else's YouTube video is not going to teach you what your strategy is going to be as a real estate investor. The way that you learn that, the way you figure that out, the way you even figure out part of your criteria is by getting started, seeing what you like and what you don't like, what problems you're willing to solve and what problems you're just not down for.
Yeah.
So just get started.
And don't be afraid to fail. You know, you might make a mistake. That's okay. Learn from it. But you can bounce back, and every time you do a deal, you grow, you learn, you maneuver, and you add to your tool belt, your utility belt, like Batman, right? You just have so many tools for different scenarios.
So we have more videos coming your way to give you more of what we learn along this journey of real estate investing, and we are happy to share it with you. So stay tuned.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let us know which topics you had some questions about, or maybe what you want us to deal with next. We can go more in depth on different topics. We're going to be making some more videos on each of these things and some other things. So let us know what stands out to you, any burning questions you may have that we can go ahead and delve into and explain better or more in depth. And of course, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, hit the bell notification icon. Make sure that you also type I subscribe as a comment if this is your first time subscribing.
We'll be happy to reach out and thank you personally for subscribing.
Yes, thank you so much ahead of time, and then we'll also comment back and thank you
Make sure that you leave us a comment. We covered a lot in this video.
We covered a lot.
This was an overview.
This was a beast.
So if there's one in particular that you're like, I really want you to break that down more, leave us a comment letting us know.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Remember, y'all, that life is what you make it. So be intentional. Don't stay stuck in analysis paralysis. Be intentional and make your story worth living.
All right, y'all.
Till
Till next
next
time.
time.
Peace.
Peace.
Get your houses.
Gotta do my victory dance.